As I'm reading the Bible, I come across this verse in Matthew 4:19. It says, "And he said to them, 'Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men.'" And I read that and I say to myself, yeah, I really do want to follow Jesus, but what's up with this fishing idea? To be honest, I really don't even like fishing. People always say, well, it's fun, it's exciting, it's relaxing, but the only times I go out and fish, those times I catch nothing, or I catch something too small for a man to even be proud of. And most people, when they even think of the concept of fishing, they think of it as pretty much a simple idea, but there's really a lot to consider. The first thing we gotta do is we have to get equipped before even going out to the lake. We have to know who we're fishing after. What kind of fish are they? When we know that, we can better decide what type of lure to use on the line. In the same sense, spiritually, it's kind of getting to know the guys around me that I'm living with. Asking some questions like, have they ever gone to church? Or what kind of church? Or who do they say Jesus is? Or do they say they're a Christian but their life doesn't back it up? It's really through knowing our fish that we can determine what specific lure to use to be able to get a bite. In the same sense, we fish with what people need the most, and that's the gospel. The more I get to know the guys around me, the better I can help them understand who Jesus is and help them see the gospel. When you're choosing which lake to fish in, you got to consider a couple things. For example, the number of fish. Why fish in a lake that has hardly any fish in it when there's another stock pond with hardly anyone fishing it? Jesus said in Matthew 9 that the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few, and so if we change that into fishing terms, it's kind of saying the same thing. There's plenty of fish to be caught, but there's few fishermen. You look out on the lake and there's really nobody fishing there. In the same sense, Marlatt Hall, the dorm where I lived at, didn't have too many people that were trying to bring Christ to others. For a long time in Marlatt, I just trying to build the friendships and relationships, just building a lot of trust with the guys. They really knew that my roommate and I were pretty different since we weren't really partaking in the same festivities as they were. They really didn't understand what or why the difference was. All the while I just kept on praying to God that He would work in their hearts and that He would just be able to give us some opportunities to share Christ with them.
Coming into college, I found myself looking for the typical college life that I had seen in movies. My drinking just continued on from high school to college. I was laughing a lot, and I perceived laughing as the extent of happiness.
There were times when Ross and I would get to be able to talk about God, and so I really began to sense that he was beginning to have a desire to know more. So I asked him to read the book of Mark with me.
When we started reading the book of Mark, he'd ask me what I thought certain things meant, and then he'd share what he thought of the same sections. After Jeremy and I had been reading for a while, he asked me, he's like, so by next week, do you think you could have this verse memorized? And I was like, oh yeah. So then he gave me 2 Corinthians 5:17.
Halfway through the spring semester, I shared the bridge with Ross and asked him if he wanted to commit his life to Christ. And he didn't really want to. And so in a sense, there was definitely a tug in the line, but nothing really happened.
And Jeremy asked me if I was ready to receive Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. And I told him, he was like, well, I think I already have. And so he said, okay, well, would you mind just praying with me then? And he just walked me through just me just handing my life over, just the life that I couldn't handle anymore. And I was so thankful that we did pray about it, that he didn't just leave me there. Because whenever I was done praying, I just knew that I was that new creation that I had read about.
I was really amazed to see the transformation in Ross's life. God just ignited him with a passion to grow.
And now this year, Jeremy and I are fishing together in the dorms.
I want fishing to be a lifestyle, not just a hobby or a one-time event. Jesus said, "Come, follow me, and I will make you fishers of men." So the question is, if you're not a fisher of men, are you really following Christ?